What's up, everyone? How we doing tonight? And yes, I do know that song, Matt. It's an OG. It's a song I used to listen to when I was younger. And yes, I was born at that point, dude. I was born in 2004 and not 2010. What's up, Stan? Hope everyone's doing great. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather still. Working hard gets you tired, but still here for the outlook, still here for you guys, and we have a very nice week coming. Hopefully, at least. I do expect some very nice price action, so we'll have to see then. To get right into it, I'm gonna start with the news, right? As always, we have CPI on Wednesday, very straightforward, and PPI on Thursday, so a lot of inflation data this week. I'm gonna be honest, I do have my favorites, and those PMIs, PPIs, CPIs, those are my favorite news to trade. Very simple, usually, to engage with price with when there's an inflation release. I just like how we utilize basically these news to deliver. Always feel like it's very clean delivery off of that, just off of personal experience. So with news like that, I expect some sort of Wednesday reversal, but we'll get more in context once we look at price. Now, another important thing that I don't usually look at anymore, it's been a while since, but I did want to plot it because we are heading back down to seasonality. So this is the seasonality charts. The red line is the current year to date, and the other are the 5, 10, and 15-year averages. What you see from these, by the way, blue, green, and orange that I was talking about. From these, we can see that we're heading back down to seasonality. It is customary to form a low in September, end of September. So it's customary to have a bearish September, a retracement before we get into the fall months, and especially with elections year, which tends to be bullish, as I have studied recently. We are probably going to form our low in September here and continue expanded. And now that we are back in seasonality, I did want to showcase this, even though it's quite unregular for me to get into that. But to get back into price, what did we see last week, right? SMT formed, higher time frame SMT, and we had a very aggressive move to the downside, forming a classic sell week. To be honest, for me, that was unexpected. I wanted to see some upside delivery right away. But as we just saw with seasonality, it is customary for September to go down. But the only thing that we have that we have yet to have is a real retracement in this leg, and I'm talking specifically about ES, even though Nasdaq retraced higher. So there's a lot of divergence in this leg, right? And Q being the weaker asset now becomes the stronger asset. There's some SMT with previous day high here for September, becomes now the stronger asset, but still has the bigger delivery to the downside. So definitely going to look for continuation lower. But as we saw with the news, right, with no high impact news event before Wednesday, I do anticipate some sort of small retracement to the upside. Possibly today, Monday, could form, just basically continue forming the fair value gap to then have the next day retrace into it and then see a nice expansion to the downside, because I don't think I am surprising anyone when I say that we are going down. How do I know that, right? For the newer people, for the newer traders, I do see a few more recent names in here. Very simple. I go on my higher time frame chart and I understand that this chart has more effect on price than my daily long-term perspective. And what do I see? Well, we just formed a huge bullish fair value gap, so that is extremely bullish. After inversing a huge weekly fair value gap, this is extremely bullish. But invalidating these levels is the exact opposite, extremely bearish. I do not expect the nicest delivery up until Wednesday because we had a huge week last week, right? I don't have to tell any of you guys, I believe we had almost a 7% bearish week. So definitely a lot of movement. So this week I'm going to be a little bit less demanding, I guess, if I can say, with my objectives, which what I expect. And I'm specifically, now you can see the daily liquidity, but you see this huge weekly wick, right? And it's not just any wick, it's the wick from the low that formed SMT previously. Let me just mark this out and actually change the color so it's a little easier to visualize. the SMT that was formed between these assets that formed our huge upside move, right? Our, what was it, 15% upside move was formed through this swing point, right? We looked at it in detail during reviews and stuff once we were then, right, around the beginning of August. And we understand that if we form a swing point from this point, I know I'm not explaining myself too well, but it is a key point in structure. This is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, guys. As I said, a little foggy tonight, but it is a key point in structure. And this huge wick formed from that single week, right? That our first week of August, I'm in the weekly chart, is of importance to me. And so I'm going to use these quarters to gain insight into what price is doing. And more specifically, I'm going to look at daily closes. So for example, the close below this low, this level, sorry, so 0. Let me just put that as a straight line so it's a little easier to see. It is not. Let's put it like this and remove the text from this so it's a little easier to visualize. And here, let's remove this. These quarter levels, we close below, so I'm going to expect it to head to the next one. Then if we close below, same thing, on and over to the next one. Because we could this week just respect our first discount and efficiency. And yes, it is quite deep in price, but if we look at our premium and discount, now there are a bunch of lines. If we look at our premium and discount leg currently, our first discount and efficiency is this order block and discount. So we could go all the way down here and then form a bigger retracement, right? So we could see early during the week go down and then the expansion from Wednesday and Thursday to retrace to the upside. While if we go higher early during the week, like I explained, right, form a fair value gap, Tuesday retraces into it, and maybe Wednesday forms some SMT here to continue lower. That is the main objective. As you guys see right here, this is our weekly inverse fair value gap. So I'm going to plot these levels on my chart. I have a little template for fair value gap low, which I'll just add inversion fair value gap low, and also for the high, which is set up here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, for the high, I have a template for fair value gap high, which I don't anticipate we will be going back to this level anytime soon. But if we do, I want to have this level on my chart, and I also want to have consequent encroachment. So let me just see the value. This is how I set up for the week, right? I just have my levels on my chart, 151.75. And we are going to have bearish IFVG weekly IFVG CE. I do want the midpoint to showcase some sort of strength. And dotted, there we go. I want to remove this, please. There we go. So now that I have my levels on my chart, I can remove this and we can have a little bit of a cleaner look. Let's have this smaller and have this dotted. So very simple plan, right? We are clearly very bearish. We are in a downtrend. We have not respected our levels that we would anticipate to see respected after a very aggressive move to the upside, right? My whole plan was we are very bullish. Let's look for long after a retracement. So I was playing the longs more so than I was playing the shorts up until last week, pretty much. And now I am pretty much flipped over, and I do believe that we should have respected the weekly inverse fair value gap if we were to go higher. And especially once we look at ES, you see, oh, well, yeah, we'll see it's respecting it. Yes, but see how we had difficulty going up here. We went all the way down here just to return to this point, and we formed SMT, right? We had daily SMT at these highs, and on ES, we also had a huge 4.86% week to the downside. So it would take 2 or 3 weeks if we're going to go straight up without taking any liquidity. So as I said, I do anticipate some lower prices, but we could see some more SMT form somewhere along the lines of here, while NASDAQ would go take out this level. All right, so clear objectives to the downside. Be ready for retracement to the upside, because that could also be our weekly expansion if we start the week with going lower. Do we have any questions? I see, Stan, you agree with that outlook. It's awesome to see. Do we have any specific questions on what we could see, what I just discussed, or the specifics of the outlook? None at all. As usual, right? I'll give you guys a second to type. All right, all right. Well, oh, there we go. Do you usually focus on volume imbalances? Never. I do not believe it was in private chat. Yeah, okay. So it was in, I just talked to a student actually earlier about it today, because you're talking about weekly imbalances, but we are currently on a daily chart. So every weekly imbalance is a new week opening gap or a new day opening gap. I don't see those as, well, they are a PD array. What is the definition of PD array? It is something in the premium and discount matrix. That's a PD array, but I don't see them as inefficiencies. The easiest way to understand volume imbalances at their core, so again, as I said, the easy way, is to see them as one big magnet. Not to come to any conclusions, because then you get into very complex logic. So I really don't utilize, for example, this new week opening gap from a while ago. I don't see us, oh, we respect this. Okay, now we're going to go to the upside. No, this is a big magnet. We are going to balance this out. We are going to trade into it, trade through it, respect some levels for some short-term plays for sure. But as I said, I don't regard it as a PD array. I believe we are going to go to external range liquidity very clearly, or my minimum objective is this order block as marked out. And on ES, as I said, we could see some divergence. So we could see NASDAQ trade all the way down to that, and CES just trade barely down, wick, and respect its inversion fair value gap right here. What about retracing back into the daily IFVG before going lower? Yeah, well, basically this plan aligns with the IFVG, right? So this inversion fair value gap, and yes, there is this volume imbalance that you would also include inside. So this plan does align with that. I just don't like to use something from so far left, right? So long ago, pretty much. But yeah, I wouldn't look as a specific target to the upside, because I'm not trading before Wednesday and I'm concentrating on trading in the direction of the weekly expansion. And the only way we could see our weekly expansion be higher is if we go lower early in the week, form a potential low of week, and then start expanding higher with CPI and PPI. So if we do that, I'm not going to have any high upside objectives because I anticipate a retracement. So I'm trading a retracement, so I'm going to have previous day high and short-term intraday liquidity, so 15-minute liquidity as clear objectives. That makes sense? All right, I'll take that as a yes. Fair enough. And by the way, just to bring a little bit more precision, there are a lot of ways to utilize not standard deviations. Yeah, I'm foggy tonight, guys. I apologize. Volume imbalances. Then there are multiple different types. There are multiple different interactions with them. But the easiest way for me that I've always found to teach it and to utilize it also is just to combine them into the gap, right? So if you're asking me about this inversion fair value gap, to me, that's the inversion fair value gap. I combine volume imbalances on both sides, just like I just did with this inversion fair value gap just before. So really, if you want to keep it simple, that's what I'd recommend for sure. But on that note, if there's no further questions, guys, we're going to call it a night. I'm going to be posting an announcement just after we get done with this call, giving you guys a little update on the Rise Statistics apps and when we're going to be releasing said app, right? A lot of progress was made in the past week, so gonna give you guys some insights into that. You definitely want to follow up on that. And I'll also be posting the price action reviews for the week, which will be on Wednesday and Thursday night. Fair enough? I wish you all good luck trading if you're trading before Wednesday, and have a great week, guys. I wish you all the luck. Good night.